It's time for the tier list. What's up, Fat Mario? I meant to do this earlier. I didn't mean it to be this late in the day, but I literally just got home. I've been doing stuff all day. I'm so unprepared for this stream. I'm gonna have to try to cut it up to make it look like I know what I'm doing when I turn it into a proper YouTube video, because this is gonna be sloppy. I have not planned ahead at all. All right. Why is there an NA tier? Because these are four games I didn't play for various reasons. Haunted Castle's not technically a Castlevania game. This one, I don't remember what it's called. It was like a spin-off that you can't really get a hold of anymore that was only on the Xbox 360. But it's also, there's like no story to it. It was kind of a multiplayer spin-off. Judgment is a fighting game that's not canon. And this is just a straight remake of Rondo of Blood, and I played Rondo of Blood. I didn't need to play the remake, so I didn't play these four. I would just delete them and not have them in the tier list at all, but you can't. You can't delete them. You can't get rid of them. Adjust your title, say you only played most of them. Nah, there's legit reasons to not play all of these. 360, PS3, Xbox One, Series. Oh, it's on Series games? Because I have the Xbox Series X. Either way, I don't even think there's a story to it. It's just like a multiplayer spinoff. So I'm fine skipping it. So yeah, I didn't play these four. They are not applicable. They don't count. There are a lot of freaking Castlevania. This is how many Castlevania games I played and beat on stream, Frenchie. Let's count them. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 27 games. I beat 27 Castlevania games on stream. In terms of how I'm ranking here, this is going to be a mixture of my subjective opinions, but I'm going to try to be objective to a degree. The two things, there's three things I'm considering. I haven't played any of this ahead of time. I'm making this tier list in real time. I didn't work this out like where I want to put everything before. We're kind of doing it on the spot. My subjective opinion for how much I liked it. I think that I'm going to factor in their legacy. But probably only positively. I don't think a negative legacy will make me lower a score, but if a game has an especially positive legacy, I might bump it up a bit. And what I consider subjective quality. Those are the three things I'm going to consider. You don't think legacy should be a factor? Like, I think that, like, so let's say the first Castlevania, probably Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I kind of feel like legacy does factor in, but as I said, only positively. A game having not much legacy, like, not having much of a legacy wouldn't make me lower the score of Castlevania 64, but it doesn't get a bump for legacy. I think you kind of got to give, like, Symphony of the Night a bump for legacy. Like, it affected video games in a big way. That's sort of what I mean by legacy. It had an effect on the entire industry. It was like a game changer, you know? I think you got to factor that in. All right, let's get into it. We're literally going to go through them in order. Every game I played. And starting with the original Castlevania. I don't think there's anything to even consider here. I'm immediately putting the original Castlevania in God tier. Subjectively, it's probably my favorite game on the entire NES. I love the original Castlevania. Love it. Legacy? I mean, look at the 26 other games I played that are Castlevania. Legacy's huge. And I think that objectively, it's just an incredibly high quality NES game. Like, I have no issue putting Castlevania God tier immediately. It is my personal favorite game on the entire console. I love it. The problem is it's not good. Disagree strongly. You know, it was interesting. Subjectivity is the whole point of a tier list. You don't need to preface your opinion on your tier list. I think you do. I think that I'm trying to consider more than just my subjective opinion. There's more to it than that. Legacy can't be denied, and I think we wouldn't have 20 plus, like 25 plus other Castlevania games if this game hadn't been great and important. It's a God tier game. You're cringe, Luco. You're king of the cringe. I don't need to spend a ton of time on it. What did surprise me, so when I first started this, because I've played Castlevania 1 a lot of times in my life. I love that game. Yo, what's up, chat? It's good, the end. Also, Joey makes me hot. when I first played through it, when I was starting this entire thing to play through every Castlevania, I beat Castlevania 1 in like 45 minutes flat. Like, I don't remember exactly how long my initial stream of the first Castlevania was. It was less than an hour. I beat the game, no problem. I tried to go back to it again the other day. After I beat Lords of Shadow 2? Someone was like, hey, you got time left in the stream. You should replay the first Castlevania. And I failed. I couldn't beat it. I got stuck on death. I thought that was interesting. I think that playing through all of these in a row, I got really good at Castlevania, and I forgot how hard these games are. Because I had a lot of practice. After I was out of practice, I went back to the first one, and I couldn't beat it. That was kind of embarrassing. All right, let's move on. We got a lot of games to go through. Simon's Quest is actually kind of a hard one to list. English translation infamously terrible and almost ruins the game. The game is basically unplayable without a guide if you're just using the official English translation. It's meh if you're generous with the English translation, maybe even Castlevania the Adventure tier. But with an actual translation to where you can actually follow the clues, it's pretty good. I had a good time with it following not a guide, but I just had a list of the actual proper translations of what the townspeople said so I could actually follow the clues. And I had a really good time playing it. So here's what I'm going to say. If it had a perfect translation or I played it in Japanese, I'd probably put it in good tier. If I actually had to use the original English translation, I would put it in meh tier. Since I had to get a better translation myself, but I had a good time playing it, I'm gonna split the difference and put it in okay. I think Simon's Quest is okay tier. When I had a good translation, I did have fun playing it. I enjoyed the game. And I love the music. I think that's where Bloody Tears originated. Doesn't it get credit for having Bloody Tears? Like where the most famous song started? So, Simon's Quest, okay. Alright. Castlevania 3. A lot of people's favorite in the whole franchise. Definitely not my favorite. This game was ball-breakingly hard. So I played the American version of this, which I was informed by someone, might have been you, Solo, or maybe it was Luco, but that the American release of this game was way harder than the original Japanese release because they had some sort of deal with Blockbuster. They basically tried to make the game impossible so people would have to rent it multiple times and they'd make more money. So I insisted on playing the US version when I heard that. And I failed miserably the first time. What about the JP version? Curious of your ranking considering the difficulty differences. They're really different, and I did play both. The Japanese version is way easier. The Japanese version might be easier than Castlevania 1, in fact. And it had better music. I don't remember the music differences. I think you're right. There was like an extra music channel or something, so the music was like a little bit more complex. I wouldn't say the Japanese version's too easy. Honestly, the Japanese version difficulty's good, but after playing the American version a lot first, some of like the boss fights were sort of disappointing. Because like the boss fights specifically were way easier. It was me who told you, and you said, oh, this is too easy. Is that what it was? The Japanese version was a lot easier. But either way, beating the American version took me multiple streams, and I actually, for a bit, wasn't even sure if I'd be able to do it. But man, that was a great feeling when I did it. Plus, the game's super fun. Multiple routes you can take, multiple characters to unlock. And I'm actually really having trouble placing Castlevania 3. It's great, but I don't think it's God tier for me. I think it goes in amazing. It's an A. Castlevania 3 is an A. It's a great game, but I definitely, of the NES trilogy, I prefer the first. And my ranking's mostly based on the American version because I have more experience with it. But both were good. All right, Castlevania the Adventure. You might be able to guess where I'm going to put this game. I hate it. It's an absolute piece of trash. Despised Castlevania the Adventure. It is the only game in the entire franchise I think is actively garbage. I hated it. Never ever gonna play it again. Never gonna touch it. It gets its own tier, and I hate it very much. Oh wait, I put Slime. Wait, didn't I read Dracula's Curse? Why is it still down here? Oh, I accidentally moved. Wait, what did I put in? Oh, this is Castlevania 1. Oh, never mind. Whoops, I did that wrong. So that's Castlevania 1. That's God tier, and I didn't move Dracula's Curse. That's amazing. There we are. The game's aggressively mediocre at everything it does. Adventure, yeah, I hated it. It plays bad. The movement feels bad. The bosses suck. Like, everything feels bad. It's too slow. Like, your horizontal movement is super slow, but like your vertical movement on ropes and stuff is faster. Everything just feels bad and wrong. All right, now this one, the follow-up Game Boy game, Belmont's Revenge was actually really good. In fact, this game, the music was absolutely sick. Maybe my favorite Game Boy music outside of like Super Mario Land. I loved the music in Belmont's Revenge. The movement was fixed, so it felt a lot better. It wasn't too long. Belmont's Revenge is good. Belmont's Revenge, I think that Belmont's Revenge goes in the okay tier for me, but below Simon's Quest. So basically, the further left you are, the higher ranked you are. So I'm putting it one below Simon's Quest for now, but it's okay. Belmont's Revenge wasn't bad. Now, I may have a hot take here. Oh, you like Symphony of the Night? I may have a hot take here with Super Castlevania 4. I don't love Super Castlevania 4. I like Super Castlevania 4 quite a bit. I don't love it, though. It looks great. Super Castlevania 4 sucks. It's not meh tier. It's definitely better than meh tier. But it's my least favorite of the 16-bit generation, probably. There's certain things that it did that I don't love. I like the way everything looks in it. I think the music was disappointing in Super Castlevania 4. Up until there, the music basically rocks in every game. They tried to do something different with Castlevania 4, which I respect. But it just wasn't as good. They tried to go like moodier and make it like fit the settings. It felt more like a movie score than like the rock and roll of the previous games. It was a lot easier than all the other games. But it was probably still better than a Game Boy game. It's most popular because people don't mess with Genesis. Oh, we're getting to Bloodlines soon, and I freaking love Bloodlines. Every game but Adventure is a pass the bar or better rating. Dude, I mostly thought the games were very good. Yeah, wait till we get to the DS games, Paul. You might be happier with some of my ratings there, or I mean, like the Game Boy Advance games. But no, Super Castlevania 4 was good. I'm torn between good and okay. It's a high quality game. I don't know if I can, in good conscience, put it in okay tier. I think I'll put it in good tier. But it'll probably slide down in good tier. I imagine other good tiers will be above it. It's a good game, but looky here, Rondo of Blood. I have no qualms whatsoever. This is the best game in the entire franchise. Rondo of Blood's not only the best game in the franchise, it's like one of the best games I've ever played. Rondo of Blood is a masterpiece in every possible way. Every level's fun, every mechanic's fun. Richter's the best Belmont. It has the best music in the franchise. Best Classicvania for sure solo, but Classicvanias are my favorite Castlevanias. Rondo of Blood was an absolute masterpiece. It's like the God tier. I take your gamer badge. No, not only is it God tier, it's top of the God tier. It beats Castlevania 1. Rondo of Blood's a masterpiece. Everything about that game is amazing. I love it. I love Rondo of Blood. I'm going to play this game on the PSP just because it's an excuse to play Rondo of Blood again. I'm going to play the remake. I just haven't got around to it yet. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say about Rondo of Blood. That might be my favorite video game soundtrack of all time. Like, probably my favorite, like, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 music in any video game. It basically takes all the best tracks from all of Castlevania and gives you, like, the best version of it in CD quality. Oh, man, I love that game. I love that game. Now, I'm sorry to be stacking God tier, but probably my second favorite game in the whole franchise was Bloodlines, which I adored. And I think this is the most underrated game in the franchise. I'm going to put it on the bottom of God tier, though. I have more fun playing this than I do playing the original Castlevania, but the original's a lot more important. Bloodlines had, like, no legacy, and I think that matters a bit. It wasn't as reviewed that well. I don't know why I like Bloodlines so much. I mean, Bloodlines is just, it's like a traditional Genesis action platformer. It's just a super high quality version of a traditional Genesis action platformer with Castlevania skin. And it's super fun. I freaking loved Bloodlines. It could go at the very bottom of God tier or at the top of Amazing tier. In fact, I'm tempted to move it down to the top of Amazing tier. That's a hard call. That's a really hard call. I mean, you put it as a gatekeeper for God tier on Amazing. Luco, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it's the gatekeeper. I don't know if a single other game's gonna make God tier, and I don't know if a single other game's gonna beat Bloodlines. But like this little part here in this playthrough where I was playing like Rondo of Blood into Bloodlines, like one right after the other. This was the most fun I had in this entire playthrough. I was so freaking high on Castlevania at that point. I was thinking like this might be my favorite video game franchise ever around this time when I was playing through these games. They were so good. None of these games are God tier. This list is a farce. Have you even played Rondo of Blood? I don't think you've even played that game. Bloodlines is just pure fun. Plus, I liked both characters. It's got tons of replay value because both characters are fun. Played through the game multiple times. The bosses are all excellent. Every level's fun. It's really fast paced. There's like nothing bad about Bloodlines. It's just pure fun. Like globetrotting. Devs were trying a lot of stuff. Game turned out fun. Absolutely. I loved it. I loved Bloodlines. I don't like the instruments for the songs and Bloodlines. Oh, Aria of Sorrow. Yeah, that's a very good game. You know, I like the music in Bloodlines. I know it's not for everyone. The Genesis has a really unique, like, sound. I like Genesis music. I like that kind of, like, bassy Genesis sound. It makes me feel funny. It makes the hair in the back of my neck stand up sometimes, like certain Genesis songs. They have such a unique sound. I liked the music in Bloodlines. Dracula X Chronicles, a game that a lot of people told me was complete trash and I should skip. A pseudo sorta remake of Rondo for the Super Nintendo, but not really because it's basically its own game but uses assets from Rondo of Blood. I had a lot of fun with Dracula X. It does its own thing enough that it definitely does count as a completely unique game in the franchise. But it killed it a bit at the end because that game has the most absurdly hard last boss maybe in the whole series. The last boss of Dracula X was ridiculous. How many tries is that? I think that I spent like half a stream on the last boss of that game. But I still didn't hate the game. Like I would play Dracula X again. The sick crouch mechanic that was needed for that last boss and nowhere else. I wouldn't say fuck that game. I think it's a good game. I'm putting bottom of okay tier. I think it's better than meh. Meh's D. Remember, meh is a D. Meh is low score. So okay, bottom. It's basically a C minus when I'm putting it at the bottom of okay tier. I think that's fair. I think it's a C minus game. I don't think it's meh. I liked it. C minus. Like it's a passing grade, but it's not a game that like gets me excited at all. C's get degrees. It could graduate. It would just be not great. All right, now Symphony of the Night. So Symphony of the Night was super fun, really unique. The upside down reverse castle mechanic was awesome. Very exciting, very cool. Pretty good story. Everyone likes Alucard, great character. So it introduced probably the next best character after the Belmonts and Dracula himself in the whole franchise. My personal enjoyment of Symphony is like high amazing tier, but factoring in objective opinions plus original Alucard PS1 Symphony Night is the GOAT. Factoring in like the objective quality of the game plus its legacy, I don't think that I could realistically not put it in God tier, but I am putting it at the bottom of God tier. I'll put it a little above Bloodlines. I would take the original and Rondo over it, but yeah, I think it deserves God tier. That might be the last God tier game. That might be it. Those three. Also change the primary formula from boring garbage to good game. You are the only chatter in Castlevania the Adventure tier. You're the worst. All right, Legends. Mechanically, it's fine. I don't think it's as good as Belmont's Revenge. I think Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge was the best Game Boy game. Mechanically, it's fine. Technically, this game is no longer canon. It got erased from the canon, so it's just kind of there. I beat it, and I immediately forgot about it. I think it's meh. I think Castlevania Legends falls in meh tier. It's worth your time if you love Castlevania and just want another one to play, but I wouldn't seek it out. That was a play it once and then completely forget it ever existed. I'm not avoiding meh tier. I just put it in meh tier. Like D is pretty bad. Like D is basically a failing grade. There's probably not going to be a lot of meh tier games. So the 64 games, dude. This was such a dark horse for me because I thought that I had always heard Castlevania 64 sucked. Adventure tier bullshit. N64 games sucked so hard it made me avoid not just Castlevania but all video games for a week. Castlevania 64 was maybe the most surprising game for me in this entire list. I loved it. You know what, Paul, Mr. Adventure tier bullshit for Castlevania 64? This is amazing tier. I loved that game. I loved Castlevania 64. I had so much fun with that game. I liked it more than Legacy of Darkness. I thought Legacy of Darkness, although a lot of people consider it a remake or like an improved version, they're really different. And I think Legacy of Darkness was a step down. I thought they made it worse. I never played it. Watching you play it through it was pretty eye-opening. Looked great and absolutely playable. I loved Castlevania 64. I thought that the franchise transferred to 3D. Really, I think that's the best 3D Castlevania, probably until the reboot. Probably until Lords of Shadow. I grew up with Jay. He's had a wrong opinion for over 30 years. No, I had a blast with Castlevania 64. I think that game has, like... What's the way to put it? That game has, like, a mood. That game has, like, a feel that's, like, completely unique to itself. It actually has some, like, serious... What's up, Cyberlycan? It has some, like, serious horror vibes. Like, during the first third or half of that game... when you're actually like in like the castle mansion area, whatever you call that, it's actually a little bit spooky. I really like the feel of all of it. I think that the combat's really good. I think that the bosses are fun. I think even the platforming's pretty good. I think everything about that game is really good. Joey. Anyway, I got a little distracted there, but I love Castlevania 64. I like, my gut even tells me to put it even higher than that, but I don't want to overdo it. It's probably not better than Castlevania 3. Castlevania 3 was excellent. But I think as like the bottom of amazing tier, it's another one where it could go bottom of amazing tier or top of good tier. But I think it's amazing. I feel better about having it in amazing. So yeah, we're going there. Now, the improved remake, sequel thing, whatever, less fun, also a lot easier. It's okay, no, a lot of people do like Castlevania 64. So I thought that game wasn't that well liked. After I played it and I was like, dude, that game was so good. Why do people not like Castlevania 64? I looked it up and that game actually did get really good reviews. It was really well liked, like when it came out. For some reason, over time, it's like people just acted like it was bad, but no, that game got great reviews. It's really fun. Anyway, I thought that the sequel was bad. Well, not bad, but a lot worse. They made it a lot easier. I didn't like the new character nearly as... The werewolf guy was kind of lame. The story was worse. The gameplay wasn't as good. It's not at all a bad game, but I think it's noticeably worse than the original Castlevania 64. I'm going to put it at the bottom of good tier. It is still a good game, but it's like a full grade lower. It's from a A to a B for sure. But yeah, Castlevania 64 is one that I would highly recommend to people. It emulates great on Nintendo 64 emulators, so it's easy to get. The game's really fun. And it's really unique. There's just no other games out there like it. It has its own vibe going on. So it's real good. Now, this is the only other game that I think might go in Castlevania the Adventure tier. I kind of hated Circle of the Moon. Circle of the Moon has really bad movement. The movement feels bad, and in a game that is almost exclusively like moving and attacking, when the moving and attacking don't feel good, really hampers the enjoyment of the game. Uh, do I put? I don't either. I'm either putting it at the very bottom of Meh tier, like a low D, or at the top of Castlevania the Adventure tier. The thing is, there were good things. That game had great bosses. It had really good bosses that were kind of fun to fight, except because the controls and movement sucked and felt bad. It like even the really good bosses were kind of a pain. Yeah, I'm really torn. It might go all the way in the adventure tier. Like it's a game I will never play again. I would never play it again. It's either going here or here. Yeah, D minus, D minus. It's not quite an F. It had some good ideas. It's a D minus. All right, Castlevania Chronicles. That was actually pretty fun. So this was like a remake of the original Castlevania, but they did change a lot. They changed enough that it was kind of like Dracula X in that it's definitely a remake and there's a lot of very similar stuff, but certain levels were totally unique. It did do its own thing. I liked the like super early PlayStation CGI that looked like so like ghetto now. Because video game CG was so new back then. But overall, I had a good time with Chronicles. Not the most memorable game, but it's not a bad game at all. I think it's better than Meh tier. I think it's okay tier, but maybe one above Dracula X. I think it might be right in the middle of okay tier. That wasn't a bad game at all. Here, now we're getting to a few games. These are games where it started, they started running together in my brain a bit. Like, which one was which? I think that this one I liked okay. Dude, what is this game even freaking called again? This was a second Game Boy Advance game. It was Harmony of Dissonance. Right? Is it Harmony of Dissonance? Yeah. Harmony of Dissonance was okay. It was a huge step up from Circle of the Moon, but I still didn't like it that much. Harmony of D's nuts. That like I barely remember this game, and it's not even been that long since I played it. This was not a memorable game. I almost need to go back and watch my own stream of it. You know what? Why not? How was this game? Oh, that was the one that had like the garish, bright colors around you all the time. That it was kind of an ugly game too, wasn't it? That was like way too bright. Or like a lot of the Game Boy Advance games were originally had to be made very bright colors because the Game Boy Advance screen was dark. But it does make them kind of ugly on a modern screen. First, I don't know. Oh, that's when I was bald too. I dealt with you in Bald J. Chronicles. Is this the one with the A and the V castle? Oh, I think it is. I don't know what to do. I didn't like this game very much. Coming up here did not unlock any new. Yeah, I didn't like this game very much. This is kind of a bad game. Dude, I'm sorry. Baldur's Gate 3. There's Fat Mario complaining about me playing an old game. About it. Jake conquers through another old game. I mean, we're into the 2000s, Fat Mario, but I've said I'm doing every Castlevania game. All right. Yeah, not a good game. I'm glad we went back and checked that. I probably would have put it higher than I should have. I did not like that game. But it is better than Circle of the Moon. We'll put it here. We'll put it one ahead of Circle of the Moon. Not a good game. Not a good game. Yeah, I didn't like the A and B castle. That had a super confusing map, kind of bad music. But the movement was way better than Circle of the Moon, and that alone makes it better than Circle, because it didn't play bad in real time to play. It felt okay. All right, now this was the only good game on the Game Boy Advance. Aria of Sorrow was actually good. I liked its sequel more, Dawn of Sorrow on the DS, but Aria of Sorrow was good. How good was it? That's the question. I mean, it wasn't like amazing, but it was good. It might go at the top of okay tier. It might go right ahead of Simon's Quest for me. I don't know if it's quite good tier. That'd be a B. I feel like it's a C plus. I don't think it quite gets a B for me. I did like it though. I think top of okay tier. Basically, Game Boy Advance Midnight had a pretty dope story and characters. Yeah, but also we are comparing these to each other, right? Like it's a tier list. We're comparing one Castlevania game to another Castlevania game, and I thought its direct sequel better in every way, basically. Dawn of Sorrow has the potential to be amazing, but there is one thing that drags that game down. What's that? No, the is it the touch controls when you have to put the stupid signs in? Because I agree, that sucks. That was the only really bad thing in that game. I actually got a mod to mod that out. Yeah, I got a mod since I used that. I played it on emulator, and it got to the point where I thought it was impossible. Apparently, other people had the same issue. So I modded it to do those automatically, and then it became a non-issue. I don't think it would annoy me that much playing on the actual DS hardware, so I'm not going to hold that against it. It was a dumb gimmick, though. You modded it like a little baby child, man. Yeah, but if I played on actual hardware, I wouldn't have. It was too hard to do with a mouse. It was not designed to be done with a mouse. This was an interesting one. If they port the DS games to Switch, I hope they remove that thing from Dawn of Sorrow. Yeah, that Dawn of Sorrow is a fantastic game without that. It's a fantastic game. PS2 time. Yeah, this is another one that's a little hard to rank. This was Lament of Innocence. This was the better game in the PS2, in my opinion. I think that's a hot take to you, Luco. If I remember right, you liked the other PS2 game more. I liked this one more. I thought Lament was good. How good do I think Lament was? How good? I definitely, of the 3D Castlevanias, preferred both of the 64s. This might go bottom of good tier for me. Now, the PS2 games are empty and bland. Thought Curse of Darkness is better than Lament, though. Okay, Shad agrees with me. Well, maybe it was you, Solo, that liked the other one. I didn't like the other one as Lament had a decent vibe to it. It was a little bit just a less good, like a less good God of War or freaking Devil May Cry. You're a simpletons, but it doesn't bother me that you like most bread and butter nothing game out of the PS2 games. There's only two. And I just didn't think the other one was that good. Maybe I was starting to burn out a bit by then. I don't know. I think I would put Lament at the bottom of good tier. It was a good game. I finished Lament, but did not finish Curse of Darkness. Cause okay, yeah, Curse of Darkness was a little boring. It was a little boring. You know what's not boring? Dawn of Sorrow. Dawn of Sorrow was excellent, except for the touch controls. Ooh, I don't think it's quite amazing tier, but I think I did like it more than Legacy of Darkness or Super Castlevania 4. I might put Dawn of Sorrow at the top of good tier. Then again, I'm a lot more likely to replay Super Castlevania 4. And your grave loss. However, still working on it, Frenchie. It's a lot of games to rank.
To help you, Master.
Dawn of Sorrow is sexy, but the anime style brings it down to me for the mug shots. You know what? It's like right. I'm really trying to decide which side of Super Castlevania 4. I like those games almost exactly the same. I think because I'm a lot more likely to replay Super Castlevania 4, I'm going to put it below. I think I'm going to put it there, between Legacy of Darkness and Super 4. Not about replayability, it's about enjoyability. Is it the fact that I kind of want to replay one but not the other say something about how much I enjoy it? I think it does. Now, me picking Super Castlevania 4 over Dawn of Sorrow probably comes down to my preference for the original Classicvania style over the Metroidvania, but those are both... Anything in good tier or above here, I would highly recommend. Like, I would say you should play it. Anything okay tier or below, only if you're a big fan, I would say. So if it's in good tier, I would recommend Dawn of Sorrow. I think it's definitely worth playing. All right, Curse of Darkness, maybe the most forgettable game in the whole franchise. Dragon Quest 3 is the best Dragon Quest. Would I play one more than 3? Why did I not like Curse that much? What was wrong with Curse? What was wrong with it? Here's Curse of Darkness. Fields tries the better kisser. All right, what did I think of Curse of Darkness? See, I've watched this for 4 seconds and this is boring me. Okay. Yeah, that's right. All of the combat was like little arena fights that you had to do over and over again. Like it was just going from one square room to another square room and having an arena fight. Oh, that game was dull. That was a boring game. I really thought she would sell more stuff I cared about. Is she really just for buying potions for the most part? Yeah, I didn't like Curse of Darkness. Yeah, I did not like that game. It's all coming back to me. I think that's Met here. Probably better than Legends. We'll put it at the top of Met here. I didn't like that game. It was dull. Portrait of Ruin was way better than I thought it would be. This is where I started really liking the DS. Like, honestly, I think I liked every DS game more than the one before it, and I liked the first one. But I had a lot of fun with Portrait of Ruin. That was the one that was a sequel to Bloodlines, right? And it was like well done sequel. I really enjoyed the character connections. Portrait of Ruin had one of my favorite stories in the whole franchise. And it was fun to play. I enjoyed both characters. Yeah, Portrait of Ruin I think is gonna go pretty high. Yes, chat. The DS is a stupid system, but I always said it got good games. Portrait of Ruin was a great game. Would it have been better on a console? Yes. But Portrait of Ruin on any proper console where I could play it on a TV with one screen and it's an even better game. The DS is stupid. Multiple screens is stupid. It's a stupid design for a stupid system, but it got great games. All right. It got ported to the HD consoles and PC. Portrait of Ruin? No, it didn't. Portrait of Ruin is not on anything except the Nintendo DS. Nice try, dude. It was the Game Boy Advance games that got ported. The DS games are still stuck on the DS because it's hard to port a game that's on 2 screens because of being on crappy hardware. Mirror of Fate did get ported. Yeah, that's true. And I played it on PC and I loved it. I love Mirror of Fate. Either way, Portrait of Ruin, great game stuck on a bad console. I think it's amazing tier, but I think it's the bottom of amazing tier. I had a blast with that game, largely due to the story and largely because of how much I like Bloodlines. The fact that not only is it a direct sequel to Bloodlines, but it's actually a really, really well-written direct sequel to Bloodlines that calls back to one of my favorite games really well in a satisfying way. It definitely earns it extra points. But I had a blast with Portrait. And then it was immediately outdone by probably the even better Order of Ecclesia. Both of those last 2 games of the DS were awesome. Oh, Order of Ecclesia, actually, I liked... Did I like it more than Portrait, or did I like Portrait more? I might have liked Portrait slightly more. But they were both excellent. Ooh, comparing these two is hard. I want to put them in like the exact same spot, but I don't know which I think I like Order a tiny bit more. But they both get amazing tier. The only thing I hate on Portrait of Ruin is the vampirism curing shit. That is a little questionable in terms of the continuity. I agree. But man, that game is fun and I love the story. Order of Ecclesia has the better combat and no gimmicks. But not the better story, but it did have a very good story. Order of Ecclesia had a rock solid story as well, even if it was a little predictable. I called that the other guy was the bad guy, like from the very beginning. It was still a good story. Both of them are great, Joey. Both of them are okay. You won me over, Luco. Those two are borderline tied, but I'm gonna put Order of Ecclesia just slightly above. Both of those games are in amazing tier comfortably. You should play both. Portrait of Ruin is just anime BS? What are you talking about? That game had a great story. Game had a great story, and the connections to Bloodlines were super well done. You know what? You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put this one slot higher. I'm gonna put Portrait. I'm gonna put Ecclesia above Castlevania 64. I think I'm gonna do it like I'm comfortable with this tiering. Portrait, then Castlevania 64, then Order of Ecclesia, a little above. I just want to make you feel bad for liking Portrait of Ruin. I don't like Portrait of Ruin. I loved Portrait of Ruin. I'll play that game again sometime. I just wish it wasn't stuck on the DS. If they ever do a DS remaster re-release like they did with the Game Boy Advance games, which they 100% should, I would buy an heartbeat, and I'd probably replay all three of those games. All three of the DS games were rock solid. All right. The WiiWare remake of Castlevania The Adventure, called Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth, much better than Castlevania The Adventure tier. Short, but pretty fun. Challenging, but not like punishing. It wasn't anything amazing, but it was a good short game. I had fun when I played it, but I think the whole game was like 2 hours. I think it took me about, let's double check that. I think it was only about a 2-hour playthrough. But it was fun. My stream of it is 1 hour and 59 minutes. It's a short game, but it's really fun, and it's like a totally unique game. Like it's not the same levels or anything as The Adventure. I don't even think it really is a remake of Castlevania The Adventure. It's kind of weird that they even call it that when it's like totally different. It's a completely unique Castlevania game. The levels aren't the same or anything. Really odd. But either way, it's a fun game. I liked it a lot. Why does it look like ass? Well, it was a WiiWare game, Paul. This was like a $5 game that was digital only on the Wii. Or maybe it was like $10. I don't know. It was cheap, but it was like a digital only game made just for the Wii. They had a little WiiWare series. The code for those games is hard to decode, and Konami just burns their source like they did for Silent Hill. Either way, it was a fun game. It was a fun kind of throwback to classic Mania style. I had a good time with it, but it was very short. I would maybe replay it, but anyway, it's not a masterpiece, but it is fun. Better than meh. Probably okay tier, but like high in okay tier. I'd probably put it above Belmont's Revenge. I would put it right there, towards the top of okay tier. Good game. All right, and that's it for the original Castlevania run. That's it. That's all of the original Castlevania games before we had a full-blown reboot with the Lords of Shadow games. So these games, it can't be a masterpiece when it's a remake of Adventure, but it's not though. It's a remake of Adventure by name only. Like none of the levels aren't the same, the bosses aren't the same. I don't even know why they call it a remake of The Adventure. It's there's like no similarities. It's really weird. It's a completely original Castlevania game. All right. And that was the last original Castlevania game before Lords of Shadow. I kind of loved the first Lords of Shadow. The same enemies and story. There's barely a story. So Lords of Shadow, it's not God tier. It's probably amazing tier, but where in amazing tier? I thoroughly enjoyed Lords of Shadow. I've actually beaten Lords of Shadow now 3 times in my life, because I think I beat it twice when it originally came out on like the Xbox 360, and then I obviously recently replayed it, and I had a great time again. Imagining so bad that when you remake it, you just make a new game. that really is what they did. They just made a new game, but they made a good game. Man, yeah, amazing tier is getting crowded, but like I have to put Lords of Shadow in amazing tier. It was an amazing game. It was really, really great. I don't think I liked it more than Order of Ecclesia. Like I want to put it above Ecclesia just because it's a style of game I prefer. Man, that's a tough call. Man, I'm 64 down to NA. No, I really, really like Castlevania 64. Lords of Shadow has the most garbo combat. I disagree. I enjoyed the combat in that game. I thought the combat was fun. Especially when I was fist fighting Satan. You know what? Just because Luco's talking shit, I'm going to put it just above Order of Ecclesia. Boop. It goes an amazing tier right behind Castlevania 3. Swole Satan was Lords of Shadow 2, yeah. Satan wasn't that swole in the first game. He got swole in the second. Let's find the fist fight with Satan to remind us why this game was awesome. You literally fist fight Satan in the end, and it rules.
We confirmed we're
See, look, I told you, Satan's not really swole in the first one. He gets super swole in Lords of Shadow 2.
I was adored once above all others. I too didn't deserve to be cast out.
God of Devil May Castlevania.
Now you know what that feels like.
Yeah, but it has an excellent story. Good. Look at, I got like 2 of me on there now.
Give us strength.
Dude, I'm wearing the same shirt. I'm wearing the same shirt in the video I have up. Look, we almost match, although I don't have a beard now and my hair's longer. Get to the fist fight. The fist fight with the fist fight with Satan is one of my favorite final bosses in like any game. Look at that. More games should have you fist fight Satan. All right, yeah, I really, really like Lords of Shadow 1. Like some fisting, always. Yeah, definitely amazing tier. Right above Order of Ecclesia, but I don't think it's better than Castlevania 3. All right, Mirror of Fate, that game was a huge surprise. I'm very surprised how much I enjoyed Mirror of Fate. I thought it would suck. I thought it was like a throwaway, stupid waste of time title between Lords of Shadow 1 and 2. Turned out to be super important to the story. Like, Lords of Shadow 2 would make no sense if you didn't play Mirror of Fate first. You have to play it. It's way important to the story. It was basically kind of back to the Metroidvania 2D style, but with Lords of Shadow combat, which turned out that it translated to 2D pretty well. So, Mirror of Fate, top of good tier. I don't think it's quite amazing, but it was way better than I expected, and I had a very good time playing it. It was a fun game. And a good story. Told weirdly. It's kind of told out of order, which I don't fully understand why they did that. I think they wanted it to be like a huge surprising reveal that Trevor Belmont was Alucard in the new storyline, but like I'm pretty sure I called it the second we saw Alucard. I was like, oh, that's Trevor. I think I just immediately knew. It was still a good story though, and a fun game. Castlevania 2 was Lords of Shadow 2 was a little disappointing to me. I thought it was definitely the worst of the Lords of Shadow games. They wanted the game to be quirky. I didn't like the Lords of Shadow 2 story at first, but it did win me over with a actually really solid last minute twist. The final act was pretty sick. It turned out to have a good story. They pulled the rug out from under me and did win me back a bit. But I was lost a lot. I got lost a lot in Lords of Shadow 2, and that's a bummer. I don't like games where I get lost. I like knowing where to go. It's definitely below the other 2 Lords of Shadows. The question is, it's either going to go bottom of good tier or top of okay tier. I'm thinking bottom of good tier. It's still a good game. In fact, I probably liked it more than Lament of Innocence, so not even the very bottom. I think I'll put it between Lament of Innocence and Legacy of Darkness. I think right there for Lords of Shadow 2. And we did it. We got a completed Castlevania tier list. But it actually is, you know, we got an actual pyramid here. It turned out, I think that's good rankings across the board. And I think from now on, I might keep these exact same rankings for any tier list I do, so the worst will always be Castlevania the Adventure tier. I freaking hate that game. Yeah, I'm actually really happy with it turned out. I think it's funny that I actually kind of got, kind of a bellish curve, like the sort of curve you would expect. And yeah, I'm satisfied with this tier list. I might like save it and post it on Twitter or something for posterity. I don't know. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Rondo of Blood's my favorite. I think I knew that from the day I played Rondo of Blood. I pretty much knew that was going to be the best Castlevania game. I didn't think it would ever be beat. Share on Twitter. You mean share on X? By the way, follow me on X. And if you don't use X, get on X just to follow me. I need to start posting more. Oop. There, I posted. That's my first post on X in quite a while. Alrighty. Well, thanks for coming to the tier list, everybody. This was sort of the makeup because I couldn't stream Thursday, which bummed me out. Be back Monday. We're starting, like I said, Silent Hill 2 from scratch. We're just going to replay the beginning. Thanks for chilling for my tier list, everyone. Have a good one. I'll hopefully see you soon. Hey, and stream tonight, chat. But late, because I'll be at dinner until probably like 7. See ya. Got a goon somehow.